Welcome back. According to Data USA, in 2018, the home ownership rate in the Bronx was 18.5%, which is lower than the national average of 63.9%. Have you ever considered putting your monthly rent into a home instead? Our next guests are helping Bronxites realize their dreams of home ownership to leave renting behind. Joining us now to discuss the home buying process step by step are Adan D and Vanessa Villanueva, real estate agents at Moravilla Sales Team. Welcome, Adan and Vanessa. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much.
Of course. So I know you're also a partnership. You're also a couple. So, congrats on also doing business together. That's incredible.
Yes. Partners in life and business.
That's amazing. So, to start, for people who are not familiar, can you tell us about Moravilla Sales Team and your mission?
Absolutely. So thanks again for having us. So we are a husband and wife duo. Really, our mission is to make sure that everyone has access to reliable and credible resources. We are big on education and making sure that it's available to all. So we are also bilingual, including those of our team. And we really believe in reinvesting in our communities, making sure, again, that everyone has access to what should be wealth-building opportunities.
Sounds wonderful to me. And how has COVID-19 impacted your business and home buying in general, if you can share?
Absolutely. I mean, it's had an impact on so many levels, right? Because there's different sides to the business. Part of this business does involve the intimacy of, going somewhere and doing something like showing the house, right? Because very few people are going to buy a property without ever seeing it in person. And that obviously was a huge hurdle to deal with throughout the process. But COVID-19 in terms of the business came in waves, right? Because we had moments in the beginning where it was like, we're not doing showings because at the end of the day, safety is important. And we have families and we're helping families to go through a process. And there was points where it just wasn't happening, to be honest. As things got a little bit better, we were able to work around things using mostly technology. We went from processes that there was so much physical interaction to what can we eliminate from this process and use technology to do it virtually. Closings, appraisals,
even showings.
Even showings for
virtual
the most part, right? And also what was the scrutiny to even get somebody in the door? The days of the big balloons and the open houses kind of had to stop. And we had to say, how can we eliminate all of that and just have people that are seriously trying to buy this house to come in and get out as fast as possible.
Thank you for sharing. Something that we mentioned was, of course, the home ownership rate here in the Bronx, which is pretty low. Can you share some of the benefits of home owning versus renting? And also, we'll discuss a little later on what some of those factors affecting Bronx ownership are.
Absolutely. So, one of the clear and most obvious one is, again, just building that wealth. Rent will continuously go up, right? Usually after a year, your leases see some sort of increase, and obviously varying, but average from 2 to 4%. So you have a really unstable sort of data or year-to-year living style versus the home ownership aspect. You have 30-year fixed mortgages or 15-year fixed mortgages, but something that is more consistent. And depending on the sort of property type that you purchase, you also have a means of offsetting some of those costs. So definitely having, again, that stability. And then just, again, reinvesting into your community. So you don't have, a consistent wave of changing. You have someone that's a little bit more deeply rooted into your community. And definitely more proactive in, in what happens there.
Yep. And I always like to, I give someone the example, right? Imagine I come to you and I say, listen, let's buy this car. All right. You're going to cover all the payments, but you only get to use it on Saturdays. I'm going to have it for the rest of the week. What do you think about that deal? And that's literally what renting is. I mean, to put it in a nutshell,
you definitely have a lot of restrictions.
Thank you for breaking that down. So, if somebody's listening and they want to know about the process, how does the home buying process really work? And what steps does Moravilla take people through?
Absolutely. So it's never just a cookie cutter format for everyone, right? It's a very intimate, customized process. So what we do is really sit down and analyze where you are, what your expectations are, and what are the needs and wants of you and your family. And then I really identify in those aspects so that we can make a game plan. Do we have to work on our credit and maybe save a little bit more? Are we ready to go into the, some of the home buyer workshops that we support and that we collaborate with? And then speaking to lenders. So we really try to break it down into more bite-sized, manageable pieces. So it's not this overlooming process and really intimidating. So we really try to, again, customize it to your needs. And if it is a 3-month plan, then perfect. If not, if it needs to go to a year, 2 years, then so be it. Exactly. But at least we know that we have a goal in mind.
And knowing that we're going to be there with you through that process. Because let's take away the transactional side of the business and let's identify that we're in this for the long run. So if it takes 2 years to bring that to fruition for you, then so be it. We'll work through that process. We'll get your credit up. We'll do whatever it takes. But understand that as long as you make the commitment, then we'll make it with you.
And what exactly is required in this process? Would you say that any Bronx site can own a home with the right preparation and support?
Yes, they make fun of me because I like to have little sayings. But here are my 5 Ps, right? The proper preparation prevents poor performance. This is a very complicated process, and anything that you're going to find in life that's worth having is not going to be easy. And home ownership is on that list. We just like to take something that's maybe a little overcomplicated and a bit intimidating to someone and break it down into steps. And going back to like Vanessa was saying, it's all about that custom plan for you because everybody's experience is a little bit different, right? There's always going to be the cliche, you're going to need a lender, you're going to need this, you're going to need that. That's for everybody. But what it takes to get there and how it's accomplished is where that real custom plan comes into place. So yes, absolutely. Any Bronx site that has that ambition can do it 100%.
Gotcha. Thank you for sharing. And, it would be remiss of me not to bring up the historical illegal discriminatory practices of redlining on communities of color like ours here in the Bronx. Can you help us understand how it is at play in home ownership today?
Absolutely. So, as a person of color, we're a team of color. We obviously resonate. I'm a first generation American, and I have seen now being in this business the impact that home ownership can have on a family. We're talking about generational wealth. A lot of people that maybe don't know about redlining, obviously we could have an entire series on this topic, and I'm very passionate about it. But understand that basically, in a nutshell, the government at some point had an organization. They created these maps. They're called HOLC maps, and these maps basically identified where in a community it was desirable or not desirable to buy, which then had an impact on the ability for someone living in that area to get financing, okay? We're talking about having areas where it literally was written in stone by the federal government at some points that a person of color could not buy there. Now, is that happening now? Obviously not, right? But we're still feeling the effects of it. Yeah. This is an effect that is going to happen for generations. And that's part of when we talk about our mission statement and using the word of advocacy comes into play because it's like anything, right? It's cause and effect. What is the cause of redlining? The mistakes that the government made for many years. And what are the effects? We see them every day. And they go back to that home ownership rate that you were just speaking of when you started. That is a huge discrepancy. Yeah. And when you start understanding the impact of even your family owning one property, that is going to have a trickle effect on every generation to come that bears your name. And we lost that. And that's why our goal is to help as many people as possible to achieve that now to make a better tomorrow.
Definitely catch up for that lost
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, Adan and Vanessa. And I think, as you mentioned, that could definitely be an effect on the percentages that we mentioned earlier. A lot of people can be intimidated to find out about this information, even reach out to Moravilla because they feel like they don't have the capacity or the information. But I'm glad to know that you're there to support Bronx sites in particular and provide that helping hand with this information. So, just to give more information to our folks listening, how is Moravilla helping ensure that people of color in the Bronx own more and learn more about home ownership?
So we are very passionate about what we do, if that doesn't come across already, but we are
I got chills right now. Literally.
So we are very passionate about what we do. And, we don't try to necessarily reinvent the wheel in that sense. There's community-based organizations that we collab with, right? So that they run, these home buyer workshops, that they offer them also in the language of those in the community, right? So, there's a large percentage of our clientele that are Spanish speaking, right? So it definitely helps being able to go to a home buyer workshop and learning about these resources in the language that they feel most comfortable in. So we absolutely support those organizations, and we encourage all of our clientele to attend them. If there's any grants, whether they're city-based, from the lenders that they're working with, or even from us, since we're affiliated with being of a National Association of Realtors, there's also grants that we offer to our clients as well. We try to pull that all together to really give them the best, not only the best experience, but the most informed and educated experience possible.
Well, remember what you said earlier? We were talking, and she mentioned something that I loved. It was like, knowledge is empowerment, right? And the bottom line is that, going back to what I said earlier, this is not an easy process, right? But understanding it and actually knowing what needs to be done is the only way that you'll ever be able to make a legitimate plan.
Absolutely. And being able to connect with people that you can trust in, right? That that they're going to steer you in the right direction and give you proper advice from a good place, right? So definitely being able to combine all of that.
It's been really wonderful meeting you both, Moravilla Sales Team. And I just realized that's a mix of both of your names, Morales and Villanueva.
Yes,
absolutely. So that's definitely the experience we wanted, kind of get the 2 for 1.
Absolutely.
And it's like a play on the word maravilla, right?
Exactly. We love it because everybody that reads it has their own interpretation.
Yeah.
And then they have that bomb moment, like you said. They're like, oh, wait a minute.
I got you. Well, listen, it's been great speaking with you, and also learning that, you're an equitable and accessible, resource to our community in the Bronx. So before we go, how can people stay in touch with Moravilla and learn more about home ownership and stay in tune for your upcoming workshops and information sessions?
I mean, again, going back to the custom, just reach out to us. I think don't look for an event or a reason. Just call. I mean, that would be the easiest way. And obviously, we're on social media. We're on, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Our website's also great, vast information.
Moravilla.com, absolutely. But, at the end of the day, my real challenge is like take 1 second, give us a call. We'll make an appointment. It'll take 10 or 15 minutes, and we can talk about you directly. And I think that's really what it takes, is just taking that first step and not being so worried or concerned whether you're qualified or not. Let's just get it going.
Got you. Thank you so much, Adan and Vanessa, for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good day.
You too. We'll be right back here on Open BXRX Tuesday.